Farlost, created by John Miro. 5. "I've never spent more than 20 minutes with the brass," Lou told Dwyer. "Not sure I'll be that good at playing stewardess, but I'll do my best." The CNC would weather the incoming radiation storm just fine. Being the nerve center of HHL-6 and the frontmost part of the craft for the majority of its time under acceleration, it was also the best protected area. Many times more layers of insulation protected it than the rest of the craft. "Don't worry about Burkoff looking over your shoulder while we sit out the storm," Dwyer said, as he and Lou watched the yellow light change back to red as the other side of the airlock closed again. "Think about it. He chose to be in the CNC. He could have holed up in a luxury suite in a cellar. He's interested in what we're doing out here, not just the profit margin." "You make a good point," Lou said grudgingly. She hadn't thought of it that way. The cellars, aka storm cellars, were two specially treated tanks with heavy-duty water shielding, ensuring the health of the people inside. Storms were old hat on interplanetary jaunts, inconveniences for the most part, and soon forgotten after the water and rads were dumped. "Besides," Dwyer finished, his business face back on, as the red light switched to green and the locks began releasing, "he's Beecham's superior. He'll take the brunt of the geek's verbal diarrhea about his crazy experiments." Lou laughed. "So he's kind of a storm cellar of our own, huh? To absorb Beecham being Beecham?" She hadn't thought of that either. "Nice." "You could say that. I'd just say they love to hear each other talk. Still, this idea of structural particle fields getting FTL to really work?" Dwyer mused as air hissed out of the overpressure airlock. "Pain in the ass or not, if he can make a ship go faster than light without blowing up, he's worth all the money Hascom throws at him and all the hassle he throws at us," Lou agreed. "Though there are other scientists on board that might disagree," Lou amended, as the airlock motors began to hum. "I've heard a few arguments in the labs with the other scientists, who say his force fields and FTL plan is insane. Gotta say that view sounds more likely. FTL was the great white whale of space. More scientists had promised a solution to traveling faster than light than had promised to deliver cold fusion to the masses. The USS Zeus was one of a handful of manned attempts to travel faster than light, and a horror story many a sailor raised their glasses to. United States spaceship Zeus, the first of less than a handful of government space vessels ever commissioned, and the first U.S. space vessel due to be mothballed, had been refitted with an FTL drive for her last mission. It was a good use of resources, on paper, and more than the minimal required crew volunteered for the experiment. Every flyboy wanted FTL to come true. Of course, Zeus had been lost with all hands. That had happened half a century ago, but Lou remembered it. Every spacer remembered the story of the Zeus. "I've seen his structural what's-this in action," Dwyer said. "I'm not saying it'll make FTL work, but that stuff's right out of the movies. Beecham made honest-to-God force fields work. Just that is amazing. He can dial up how much gets in, too, all the way down to a black egg, not even letting visible spectra through." In spite of herself, Lou was curious. The mission briefing said they can tweak the fields to let in only certain waves, allowing radio but blocking the hard stuff, right? Why aren't we using it now for this rad storm? Why are we still stuffing everyone in the cellars and CNC? Unsafe draw on the reactors. Of course, if he ever licks the power demands, life's going to get pretty rosy out here. And Beecham will get another raft of patents and awards. The commander chuckled. "I hate to say it, but he actually does have a brain to match his ego." The airlock cracked open, one half sliding up, one sliding down, to reveal 3 men inside. A black man with a clean-shaven head, steely glare, and a security jumpsuit floated to Dwyer's side of the airlock. That was Taggart, one of the officers Lou had the most time for. She bit her lip, embarrassed to wonder if it was because he, like she and Dwyer, had served before going private. Or maybe it was the fact that Taggart was always in as much mud with Villanueva as she was herself. Shit, she had to get over this. The rules were different here. They just were. Taggart sketched a salute with his free hand. His jaw was pulsing. Lou didn't have to ask why. The answer was floating on her side of the airlock, facing away from her and in deep conversation with a thin, wiry youth. Stanislaw Rennick, she remembered. He looked at her and paled. The shorter man, facing away from the airlock door, went on speaking, his head of thick black hair bobbing along with his words. Of course they say it's not safe, Stan. They want you scared of them, obedient. Well, we've got a job to do, and it's too bad if they don't like it. Commander Dwyer rolled his eyes in Lou's direction and coughed. Stuart Beecham sighed and turned, two-handedly and awkwardly tugging himself around. Lou caught the flash of white teeth, the reddish-brown Native American skin, the perceptive eyes, and thought again that Stuart Beecham was almost roguishly handsome. Almost. Until words came out of his mouth. Well, if it isn't the military-industrial complex, he said with his signature arrogant sneer. Farlost. Music by Kevin MacLeod of Incompetech.com. Learn more at servingworlds.com.